Welcome back, guys, to another Hornet Mark III game. This one, we are facing the Russians. This game, and we have 3 Hornet Mark IIIs in this team. It's like a Hornet's swarm, and want to show you this game because it really showcases how several Hornet Mark IIIs can really damage an enemy team, or at least force them to redirect their plans and redirect their strategies, because climbing to altitude and getting the advantage there is not possible if you have a semi-competent Hornet squad up in the air. Those were random players here, so those Hornet Mark III guys, they were not in the squad with me. So, but yeah, the matchmaker put us together like this, and this was very effective, I think, and that's why I picked this game. This one was played before the game that I showed you before this, which was again on Sicily against the Germans. So in this game I'm still I'm less than half equipped, while in the Sicily game I was pretty much fully upgraded in regards to the performance. But even with the lack of modules and less performance, that's still good enough. Even in a stock condition, you can still outperform a lot of planes thanks to the air spawn and just your overall high speed, even at stock condition. So I'm gonna skip forward a bit until we find the first Russians. And here we spot our first Yak 3 and an LS7, and there will be nearly the whole team will be here. As always, LF Mark IX Spitfire over everyone, but with the Hornet Mark III you don't even have to worry about LF Mark IX Spitfire being above you, especially if you just climb straight in the climb path of the enemy. They cannot overtake you in a climb when you have 2 kilometers of altitude advantage right from the get-go. I'm diving on the priority target, the Spitfire. And we get him. Which is very important here, because this LF Mark IX at altitude is always a pain to fight. So getting this out of the match early is very, very helpful for the team. Here we see the very sluggish nature of the Hornet. If it's very, very slow, below 300, just look out for that, and don't expect any good maneuvers. And here we see that the Hornets are just boom and zooming the Russian team, while the rest of the fighters isn't even here. Breaking off from this. Now I'm forced to take the head on here. We get him. The other LS7 tries to get up to me, but yeah, he has no chance. even Russian planes like the LA, which have one of the best energy retentions in the game, and they don't lose their speed at all if they maneuver, even they cannot climb after you. And another LA7. Here we get a bit in trouble because yeah, we don't have an altitude advantage anymore. So we have to face the Russians and trust at the speed that we can make. And we're sniping at very long range. But I get pretty heavy damage on the wing. So yeah, he also had some accurate shots. At this point, we already wiped out most of the Russian team. Well, yeah, over half of our team wasn't even in the fight yet. They were just climbing and trying to get into battle. The Hornets were and the Wyvern, they were doing most of the work here, right from the start. And because we forced the Russians down, you know, our chances of winning this are way better now. Because yeah, the Russians are good at low altitude, but just because you're good at low altitude does not mean that you can give the enemy the whole upper area, especially if your team is already thinned out like this. If the Russians still had all the planes, they can still win at low altitude, but yeah, not like this. Because of my heavy damage I can't really maneuver here, but I will still try to help out my team and use up my remaining ammunition on some targets that I can actually aim at. I have really big problems stabilizing the aircraft here, and this Yak 3 just stalls out right in front of me. And yeah, that's pretty much all I hit in this match, because at this point I was out of ammo and had a damaged aircraft and was flying back to base. And yeah, the Russians are already dead. A very quick match, completely different from the one that I showed you earlier on Sicily, which took much longer. But yeah, that's how the matches go. Sometimes you just wreck them down or win the match in a couple of minutes, and sometimes you have to fight a bit harder. But I think this game showed that the 3 Hornets can completely lock down the high altitude range of an enemy team. So that's it for this video, guys. See ya.